concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Livestream. Very happy that you're here with me on a Monday night, where we'll have no more technical issues for the rest of the stream. Why were you? All you do is sit there. You literally just sit there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's a GoPro up in the corner. It just sits there, and then twice a week I use it for my live stream. That's what happened to my last GoPro Hero 6. It didn't get to die an honorable life and go to FPV Valhalla by being killed in the bando. Nope. Nope. You get to live out your life up here in my office. And for some reason, every now and then, it's just like, you know what? I just think I'm not going to work today. What are you going to do? Welcome to the live stream. It's so hard. It's so hard, guys, because I don't want to spend the whole live stream talking about DJI. Right? You don't want that. Make sure I don't have any blueberry in my teeth. I was munching blueberries before the stream. I don't want to spend the whole stream talking about DJI. But something super interesting happened today. So we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to take your questions. I'm going to take it. Wait. There we go. I'm going to take your questions here in the YouTube chat. Yeah. Junis Drusman says someone forgot to log out of the O3 testing account. Junis, there is no O3 testing account. They just say, oh, is this your email address? Is that your DJI account? And then they flag your, this is how it happened. They flag your DJI account, and then you get access to pre-release firmware. And then you forget that you have access to pre-release firmware. So when you see firmware, you're like, oh, this must be some new firmware they released. And then you find a new feature. You find out they released backwards compatibility. And then you're like, oh, shit. Well, I don't want to get in trouble. Yeah. And that's why, hang on a second, I have to go back to the face cam so I can get serious. And that's why that that SOB, Madstech, has a video out about this pre-release beta DJI firmware that allows the goggles 2 to bind to it's the backwards compatibility that we've been promised. He has a video out about it, and I was like, well, technically, I'm pretty sure that, I don't know if this is covered under the NDA that I signed, but I'm not sure. So I guess I'm not going to make a video about it. And here's my consolation prize to myself. I'm like, well, this stuff will probably change between now and release. So it's probably okay. I'll cover it when it's final. But it was a little bit annoying. Whereas, here's the question. How does Ian have access to that firmware? DJI doesn't even like him. Somebody must have given him a login. Anyway, yeah, I stumbled across this while making today's video, and was like, oh, that's new. And then I tried it out. It works. It's there. There's still like, if you install this firmware on your goggles too, you also have to update firmware on your Vista, and then your Vista won't bind to the V2 goggles anymore, which obviously they're going to fix that. It's obviously some pre-release thing. Hang on a second. But that's all very exciting. We could certainly just talk about that. Yes, with canvas mode. According to Ian, I didn't even test this. According to Ian, the MSP DisplayPort, the OSD functionality in Betaflight works with the Vista, with the Vista video transmitter and the goggles too. We don't know whether it will work with the V2 goggles because they don't have the updated firmware yet. At least not that anyone can tell. But very exciting stuff. Junis, DJI is trying to pull the rug out from under you. Anyway, that's exciting. But look, we're not here to talk about DJI for hours and hours. We're here to take your questions in the chat. Phantom FPV, good to see you, man. We're going to take your questions in the chat, like this one from JBoy FPV. Why would my battery lock at 3.6 volts in the OSD? Happened a couple times. JBoy, is it analog or digital? That's the first question. We're going to take your question in the chat. I'm going to take questions from these beautiful people over here. These are my patrons. Hello, patrons. And they're in my Discord server just hanging out. I'm going to be taking their questions and reading their comments. And if you want to, let me get over here. If you want to leave a super chat, hit the dollar sign down here and leave a super chat, and I will read these later in the stream. That's pretty much the only surefire way to get me to read your comment. If you have a question you very, very much want to make sure I answer live. Of course, as always, you're welcome to email me if you want a question that I won't answer live, but I will answer. Let's see. J-Boy says, I have the DJI V2 goggles. So usually, J-Boy, when the OSD freezes up with the DJI system, there's just some problem with the serial connection between the air unit and the flight controller. Unfortunately, I don't know, like, I can't think of something to tell you, like, that causes it. Like, sometimes it happens with certain flight controllers. If you could consider updating to a newer version of Betaflight, if you're not on 4.3, I guess give that a try. Make sure everything's on the latest firmware, but I'm not really sure what else to suggest. I wish I had a better answer for you, unfortunately. 1IFPV, what I said was that the new DJI Goggles 2, that's the new goggles, support MSP DisplayPort with the O3 Air unit. We already knew that. But according to Mads Tech, this pre-release firmware also allows them to work with the Vista and that generation, and MSP DisplayPort works there too. Ethan W. Ethan wants to know, I just put some conformal coating, some silicon-based waterproofing on my flight controller, and wires have been coming off. Is the conformal coating doing that? No. No. There's no possible way that the conformal coating is making the wires come off. Not any kind of conformal coating I'm aware of. You got a problem with your wires or your solder joints, my friend. That's what I would say about that. How good is the Radiomaster RP3 receiver? Well, I give Radiomaster the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise. We know that Radiomaster worked closely with the Express LRS devs on developing that hardware. I think that I have heard that the oscillators are all correctly calibrated at that point. Like, I think it probably your odds of getting a good receiver are as high with the Radiomaster RP3 as just about anything else. That's what I would say. It's really an odds game, though, as always. Tyrannosaurus Rex points out that recording on the air unit can cause random freezes on the OSD sometimes. That's interesting, Tyrannosaurus. I don't use air unit on hardly anything, so I didn't actually know that. Tim Z. We got our first question from the patrons in the Discord server. Tim Z asks, I'm looking at Zing 2806.5 1300 kV for a Chimera 7 Pro build for long range. Any suggestions? Suggestions in what way, Tim? I mean, 2806.5 is a baller motor for 7-inch. That is a fantastic motor. Between 28 and 30 millimeters is just about considered to be the sweet spot. 1300 kV is a great kV for 6S, right? If my memory, I don't have those 7-inch KVs memorized, like just straight off the dome, but I believe 1300 kV is right for 6S on 7-inch. And 1300 is, am I correct that 1300 is a little bit of a lower kV, more for cruising rather than freestyle and stuff. So, I mean, I think you're going the right direction. I think frame selection is very, very important in the 7-inch, realm. A bad frame is going to give you jello and resonance. A good frame is going to give you smooth flying and clean video. For maxing flight time, you're always going to want to save weight. So do whatever you can to save weight. But I think you're going the right direction. Also, for maximizing flight time, consider something like this. I was just looking at this. What we need here is, where's your batteries? No, shut up. Am I not at the shop? Where am I? I just want to buy something. No, I want to buy something. Is that it? No. .iflightrc.com. Thank you. I want, load the page. Batteries. I'm making my life so much more difficult. Drone parts, batteries. Yeah, so check out this. 6S 4,000 milliamp hour lithium ion. I said, there we go. This is pretty slick for a 7-inch long range. The lithium ion batteries can go down to 2.5 volts instead of 3 volts, which means you get longer flight time out of them. They're not as good for punchy freestyle. In fact, they're really no good for that. But this is really like, could really get you a lot of flight time. So. Halo Walker. Oh my goodness. There's a party going on in the patron voice chat channel. Halo Walker Ghost Branch. I'm almost scared to drop in there. Hear what people are saying. What do you think, chat? Should we drop in on the voice channel and talk to these guys? Let's do a poll. Okay, we're going to do a poll. We're going to let the people decide. Like good old Elon Musk says, right? Vox Populi, Vox Dei. Go look up the full source for that quote sometime and see if Elon's using it right. Go look up the letter to Charlemagne that that quote is taken from. See if Elon's using that quote right. But we're going to do it with a poll. Oh, the poll is well ahead. We have a strong advantage here. Let's take a couple super chats, then we will drop into the voice chat and we'll chat with the patrons and we'll see what they have to contribute. We got a super chat here from Cheech FPV who asks, due to the higher amp draw of the O3 air unit, MadSec recommends a DJI plug capable of 2 amps. Can the JBF7 V1 plug handle the O3? Yes, 100%. The JBF7 V1 and V2, I think they have the same voltage regulator. They're rated for 2 amps. You're good to go. The actual, that 2 amp rating is actually conservative. iFlight's the manufacturer of those boards. They spec their regulators internally at 3 amps. But they know that real-world conditions like heat buildup and so forth, and they just want to be careful to not lie to, well, they just want people to get what they're paying for. So they spec the regulators at 2 amps. But what you need to know is that that is an honest 2 amp rating. Under most real-world conditions, you can run that regulator right up to 2 amps and be okay because it's actually a 3 amp regulator. The difference is that most of the time when manufacturers spec voltage regulators, they tell you the absolute maximum limit, and then in the real world, you get less than that, and it starts browning out. But iFlight says, I'm going to give you a 3 amp regulator, I'm going to call it a 2 amp regulator, and you're going to know you're always going to get 2 amps out of it. So you're good to go there. No worries. It's Blaine. Thank you so much for a $2 super chat. It's Blaine says, thank you for all you do for the community. Thank you for the donation, Blaine. You're not David Blaine, are you? No. Razzie, thank you for a $5 super chat. I'm trying to build an all open source quad. What would you go for? Ugh. Is there even a viable AM32 I could find? So SkyStars sells an AM32 ESC. That'll work. The frame obviously is going to be a TBS Source 1. That's like the only open source frame that comes to my mind for sure. I don't know of an open source flight controller. Like OpenPilot. If you go way back in the day, CC3D OpenPilot, I think there were some open source designs for that, perhaps. But an actual flight controller that runs Betaflight and is open source, I don't know about that. Obviously, Betaflight is open source. But the hardware design, so if you don't care about the hardware, then Betaflight, iNav, any of those will do. They're all open source. How are you going to open source your motors? It's a tough one. Doug McLeod, thank you for a $5 Canadian. Doug McLeod says, my partner is very much not a fan of your streams. Aw. But loves the intro music. How much of your success do you owe to that song? Probably not. No offense, but probably not a lot. I like that song, but no one has ever tuned into my streams because they were like, yeah, Bardwell's dropping some 6 beats. I mean, if I really cared about music, I would have changed the song once in the last, 3 years. So I just stick with what works, though. And now it's like my lucky socks. I'm never gonna use it, change it. Well, okay. It's 72% in favor of jumping in the voice chat. So let's do it. Here we go. We're jumping in.
There he is.
What's up, guys?
Hi.
Hello, Bardwell.
Not much.
You're on the
Not
stream.
much, just beating
Halo
Min-Chan,
Walker,
the usual.
Yeah, I should take the opportunity to talk to the great Halo Walker, the DRL star. No offense,
I
Ghost
don't know
Branch,
about that
Rockcrawler,
yet.
Stimpy.
Working on it.
How much do you have to dial up the shit talking just to make a TV show out of it?
I've been working on my shit talk. It's probably going to be continuously brought up throughout the season. The more I get a comfier lead,
Right. The more in the lead you are, the more you can afford to smack talk. Of course, then don't you have to just get humble at that point? Like if you're behind, you talk shit. When you get ahead, I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, I don't know it either. I haven't been in the position to be in front yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something new that I have to adjust yet.
Yeah.
Before I start talking.
Yeah. Well, I was very excited to see you doing as well as you did in the first race, which was actually the second race, which I don't know what that was. What was up with that? But
well, there's a few reasons that we pilots think they did it. I can tell you after the live stream.
Okay. I don't want to get you in trouble.
I don't want to get myself in trouble.
No, sir. I just was so excited to see you up there because, like, I met you when we did that Velocidrone combat, and I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. And then you got onto DRL by winning the simulator races. I was like, oh, this guy's really good. And now you're racing in the real world, and you're really holding your own. And I'm like, well, shoot, who knows?
Well, it definitely took some time and effort to get there. Last year, my IRL performances weren't up there, but I'm definitely getting there, and I'm very excited to see myself getting up there too.
Yeah. Did you have a training regimen?
Yeah, it was pretty strict right before those races. I spent the 3 weeks right before practicing every day for around 8 to 10 hours. out in the field.
Wow.
It's not as much as I would have liked to. The field I was practicing at was a soccer field, so they were starting to play soccer in the afternoon. So I tried to get there before sunrise and set up the gates. So as soon as I had enough light to fly, that I was ready to fly.
Man, I mean, I hear about like Min-Chan practicing and his dad's just swapping packs for him. Do you have somebody swapping packs for you, or do you have to do it all yourself?
No, that's all myself.
Oh man.
And I don't have a driver's license yet either, so getting there by bike in the morning is not fun either.
I mean, that's all just the story that leads up to the winning in the end. Not to jinx it, but like, he rode his bike to the soccer field every day at dawn,
Well, I don't right now. The next races are going to be on the sim, so that's kind of what I'm focusing on.
How
right now.
much do you think you have an advantage? Like, I don't want to like start drama, but I think of somebody like Vanover.
Stop the drama, please.
And he is an amazing pilot, world-class pilot. I don't think he likes flying in the simulator very much. When he does fly in the simulator, he's good. But he doesn't put in 12 hours on the sim every day. He's got better things to do, like hang out with Michael Bay. How much of an advantage do you think you have in the sim?
I think I have a really good advantage over Vanover. It's kind of my little light at the end of the tunnel for me right now. I'm trying to extend my lead over him in the sim races enough to where I can afford to lose some races against the IRL.
Okay, we have to be realistic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the golden heat of level 2, I don't know if you've seen it, but I was more trying to focus on finishing rather than going fast, and that cost me the lead in the earlier half of the race. But he was pushing it, which shows me that he was scared, and that definitely is something I'm happy to see.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Huff 19 has a question. How do you avoid burnout when you're putting in that much practice every day?
It's less the burnout than just being out on the field alone. I hate it, personally. but I think it's worse on the sim. Flying on the sim every day on your own is can get very frustrating and lonely at times. Also
Yeah.
because you only have ghosts to fly against instead of actually a good comparison.
Hmm.
Somebody that crashes. Ghost is always on the perfect line, and that can get a little frustrating, especially when you're flying against Minchan.
Yeah. Now, do you fly against his ghosts?
Yes, I
Oh,
do.
wow. That's
But
like ultimate training, right?
well, I don't actually think so. I don't think Minchan's going to be the strongest pilot on the sim. I'm more worried about pilots like Alex FPV, Amari. Those can and Maverick, of course. He won tryouts this year, so
Yeah. Yeah. It's super competitive. And it's super cool to see guys like, I mean, you start a season and you've got a name like Vanover, a name like Minchan, and a lot of people think that they might be kind of are just a ringer. And it really is exciting to see guys like you and Alex, and of course all the other pilots as well. But I know Alex did really well, and he's sort of a hometown guy. He's from Knoxville, and I was really pleased to see him do as well as he did. And it's nice to see you pulling up there and giving those guys a run for their money and showing him it's not just going to be a walk away. So that's really exciting. Got to be
yeah.
exciting for you.
I think the racing in level 1, which is going to be airing on November 30th, was better than in level 2. Honestly, it was way closer and it felt closer too. So I'm excited for people to see that.
Yeah. I guess going back to the question about burnout, I mean, some of it just has to be that you're just sort of so hungry and passionate for it that even though you'd probably at the end of 8 hours of grinding, you are tired, you're also in some way energized, and you just don't burn out.
Yes, it's definitely you have to almost be insane a little bit to work so hard for something that you don't see until you actually race.
Yeah.
And there's always unknown variables when it comes to a race, mid-airs and such, that can ruin your race regardless of how much practice you put in. And that can
For
be
sure.
frustrating as well. But it's definitely important to keep the focus no matter what and push through.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's good to have you here, and it's nice talking to you. I think we're gonna move on. What were you guys talking about before I got here?
We were worried about how I was going to look on this track since I just started flying this, and I kept crashing into like the first 3 gates for the past 5 minutes before you joined.
Are you guys racing? Oh, you're streaming right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, look at that!
Racing Minchan's
Oh
going
my
right now.
goodness, I didn't even see that. This is Halo Walker. Are you just putting in some practice laps?
Yeah. I'm warming up to beat his time on this track. He's
Alright.
P1 on this. It's
Oh
one of
my
last
goodness.
year's season tracks.
How do I full
Um,
screen this?
There's been found
There's a
like
button in the
some
bottom right.
pilots
Yeah.
found a new line on this, and it's a very toxic line because it's a blind turn.
So like it's kind of an all or nothing situation.
Yeah, it's the turn in the very beginning, luckily. But we're doing 2 laps on this, so you have to do it twice.
So we're watching Halo Walker, who is currently in what position are you in, Halo Walker?
Season standings, I'm P1. Or do you mean
P-
on this track?
P1. Does
Yeah,
that mean
I'm
you're in
first.
like in first place?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I didn't actually remember that.
So after 2
Watching
levels,
the
that's-
current season leader for DRL practicing, putting in some laps here.
Ah!
Jeez, you guys' pre-turns are insane. The way you pre-turn is just bonkers. Watch this. Watch how he pre-turns this. Look, he's already pitching back. It's bonkers, man.
This gate here
Ooh!
actually is the worst because you're coming in at such an angle that you really don't see the gate for like 2 seconds, it feels like.
Yeah,
Like this.
yeah. And some of these gates, if you're not carrying enough speed, you completely have to break your line.
Oh yeah.
Like you have to
100%.
come in fast and then just kind of tilt up and then just let momentum carry you through.
There's
It's
so much work that people don't see when they watch the show. Like the
Mhm.
hours we put into analyzing lines instead of actually racing for
Mhm.
practice is same goes for repairing our drones or charging packs or
Yeah. There you
all
go.
that stuff.
Hey Joshua, you noticed
Yeah,
how
Ghost
he's
Branch.
doing like knife edge corners? Remember
Yeah.
when we were doing the Velocity Drone live stream together, and Halo just mentioned that it might be a good idea to just do knife edge cornering, and now
Instead,
everyone's doing it
yeah, interesting.
2 years later.
Instead of
It's
coordinated
interesting that-
turns. What's going on here? What direction are you even facing? There we go. I see. Crazy. All right, well, I got to get back to the stream.
Right.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to get back to the stream and get back to talking to the chat. Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Have a good stream,
Thanks for
Chibi.
hanging out too.
Alrighty.
Have a good stream. Bye bye.
All right. I mean, I could spend the whole stream just chatting with patrons, but I'm not sure it would make for the best content for everyone else. But we couldn't miss an opportunity to hang out and talk to Halo Walker. And all those other guys, too. What's Halo's FOV and angle? Let's see if he... Let's see if I can get an answer for that. The pre-turns for those top racers are bonkers. Just bonkers. It's like, I can't even conceive of how you do that. It's bonkers. 125 FOV, 45 up tilt is the answer. Alrighty. Let's see. Let's take a couple more super chats. We're behind on super chats. Let's see here. Coelho FPV wants a stiff, low vibration frame for 10-inch props. Whew, that's a tough one, Coelho. What about the Catalyst Machine Works? They got a 10-inch that's pretty good. I don't know if it's exactly what you're looking for, though. Yeah, not the America. Doesn't they have a 10-inch frame? Not the Shocker 7. What's their 10-inch? Did they drop that one? Weird. I reviewed it. Well, not the Mofo. Banggood 7. Tasmanian, that's their X-Class. Huh. The America 10. That's the one I'm looking for. Thank you. The Macro America. That's the one. That's the America 5. Why can't I find it? Do they not sell it anymore? There it is. There we go. What about the Macro America? So this is a 10-inch sort of racing drone. I don't know if that's what you're looking for. The Macro 10 is badass. It is. I got to fly one of those. He sent me one to try out. It was pretty badass. Great for chasing. Fantastic for chasing. RC Overkill says the Yeti has a nice 10-inch frame. With a name like Yeti. Here we go. Ooh, $170. So this is more of a long-range frame, I see, than a racing-style frame. Let's see. So those are some suggestions. Swifty FPV, thanks for a $2 super chat. Message retracted. Dan Navarro, thank you for a $5 super chat. How is the new Air Unit O3 DVR recording as far as random slow SD card errors or anything like that? It's too soon to say. I can say that I haven't heard of anybody experiencing SD card slow on the new O3 Air Unit. That may change as they get out into the wild. There currently very, very few people have them. I don't know if they ever identified or fixed the SD card slow problem with the V2 stuff. So I can't really speak to that. But so far, no one has had it as far as I know on the O3. But also, why didn't they identify and fix it on the old one? Because it's not the SD cards. I don't think it's the SD cards. People use good SD. You shouldn't need like a class, a C3, whatever, UHS 3. You shouldn't need an ultra fast SD card to record 1080p or 720p, right? It's not like you're doing 8K. So like any half decent SD card should do it, and people are using half decent cards and getting SD cards slow. Something's up. Mike Bolo, thank you for a $5 super chat. Mike says the Fat Shark HDO 2.1 are out with 1080p media input for the Walksnail VRX. I hope they sell an HDMI upgrade for the HDO 2. Why does nobody talk about the HDO 2.1? I haven't done a review of the HDO 2.1 because it's really just an incremental upgrade. It may get more exciting as the Caddx, the Walksnail VRX starts to hit the street. It's got, what did they change? They updated the IPD and focus adjust buttons. Okay. That's fine. What else? $1280 by 9, so it's the same LED panels. What changed? What did they change? They just changed the focus adjustment, and it's got 1080p input, apparently, which I actually didn't know that until this very minute, so thank you for telling me. Nothing's really changed, though. It's the same goggle. So it's like, I'm not going to, let's do a review of this goggle. It's the same goggle. The old review is fine. Richard Vaughn. Good question. Richard Vaughn, thank you for a $5 super chat. What do you do when your SD card takes a crap on your Radiomaster TX16S? Okay, guys, if you buy just about any radio in FPV, really, just about any one, they all come with an absolute garbage SD card that was bought for 3 cents. Okay? Now, I don't know. Somewhere out there, someone sells an SD card with like a radio with a good quality SD card. Okay? Probably the TBS Tango, because that seems like the kind of thing TBS would do, is actually have a good quality SD card, right? Because it just seems like a move they would make. But most of them, the SD card is absolute garbage. It will die. It'll die, and maybe it's in 3 months, or maybe it's in a year. It will die. So, when you get a new radio, one of the first things I do is I take the SD card out, I copy the contents to a new, good quality SD card. It doesn't have to be like a big 64 gig, 128 gig. It could be just 2 or 4 gig. Now, nobody makes a 2 gig SD card anymore, except for the little cheap-ass 3-cent ones that they buy to put in the radios. So just get a $15, doesn't have to be fast, it doesn't have to be fancy, just get a name brand SD card for $10 or $15, put it in your radio, throw out the one that came with the radio. The day you get it, it probably is trash, and it probably is going to die on you. So when the SD card takes a crap and dies on you, then what do? You have to download the SD card contents again. Hopefully you had a backup. If you don't have a backup, you have to go to the OpenTX website or the EdgeTX website and download the SD card contents. And any customizations you had, unfortunately, are going to be gone. But that's what you got to do. Quad City Bay Area. Thank you for a $5 super chat. Quad City Bay Area asks, unfortunately, I haven't ripped any bandos in San Francisco. Is 2.4 okay, or should I stay with Crossfire? Quad City Bay Area, whether 2.4 gig Express LRS will give you more range than 900 megahertz Crossfire depends a lot on how much output power and what packet rate you're using. 900 megahertz has an inherent advantage, watt for watt and hertz for hertz. Because it's a lower frequency, it will penetrate more and give you better range. 2.4 gigahertz Express LRS can do quite well, though, in part because it uses smaller packets than Crossfire, which means that for the same packet rate, it can use a higher signal to noise, a higher sensitivity form of encoding. So if you're running 50 hertz Express LRS, 2.4 gigahertz, and you're running 150 hertz Crossfire at the same output power, I'd be pretty confident that Express LRS would win for range and penetration. If you're running 50 hertz Crossfire and 50 hertz Express LRS 2.4 gigahertz, I think those are going to be much closer, and Crossfire might win. I'm not sure who would actually win there. If I had to bet, I'd bet on Crossfire. And if you're running Express LRS at 250 hertz, 500 hertz, or 1000 hertz, then Crossfire will definitely win, because it's going to have a lower frequency and a lower packet rate. So for max penetration, Crossfire is probably going to give you an advantage unless you turn that packet rate all the way down. Bad for life, I agree with you. On 50 hertz Crossfire, I think it beats Express LRS 2.4 gigahertz most of the time. Over at 150 hertz Crossfire versus 150 hertz Express LRS wins every time. And the reason for that is that Crossfire has to use not FLRC. Damn it. I'm totally blanking on the modulation they use for 150 hertz. It's not LoRa. Crossfire 150 hertz is not LoRa. It's not LoRa. Everybody's in the chat saying it's LoRa. Crossfire 50 hertz is LoRa. Crossfire 150 hertz is not LoRa. It's FSK. It's frequency shift keying. It's just FSK. And FSK does not have that magic range and penetration. It's higher data rate, but it doesn't have that magic range and penetration of LoRa. So because Express LRS uses LoRa for all of its modulations, and when you take Crossfire off 50 hertz, Express LRS instantly wins. So there you go. Hopefully that's helpful. Moonman Media, thank you for a $5 super chat. What would cause my Vista when set to 50 megabits per second? As soon as I arm, it drops to 25 or 30 megabits per second on channel 1, but not 2 or 3. The only thing I can think of that would cause channel-related interference like that is some kind of external interference on that channel, like there's a Wi-Fi device or something on channel 1. External interference is going to be local to the area where you're flying. So if it happens at home and it happens at the park and it happens at the office, that's not external interference. That's something to do with your quad. But my first guess is external interference. Cheech FP. Wait, we got a question. I missed a question back up here. Matt Hayden, thanks for a $2 super chat. Just saying thank you. I'm a single father, and it trails off. Maddie Hayden. Sorry about that, Maddie. Thank you so much for all the emails you've returned to help me with. I'm a newbie and a single father of 2. I can't fly right now due to a bad flight controller. I can't afford another one. Oh. Well, thank you for the support, man. I appreciate you sending me. I don't want to send you back your $2. Thank you, Matt. Moonman Cheech FPV asks, when will the JBF7 V1 be discontinued? Cheech, the JBF7 V1 is discontinued. The only reason it's still for sale is because the last units haven't sold out. It is not being manufactured. The V2 is forever now. Let's see how many more they've got. Add to cart. Only 31 left. That's it. Once those are gone, they're gone. The V1s, we're not making them anymore. We're making the V2s. So get them while they're hot. Oh, they marked it way the frick down. Wow. They're trying to clear them out. They're not, I don't know what Race Day Quads' cost is on these, but I'm guessing this is pretty close to cost. That is a hell of a deal. Yeah, $47. Tyler Brennan trying to get flight controllers into people's hands. Delta Foxtrot, thank you for a $5 super chat. Do you think that the old black DJI remote will eventually work for the new O3 unit? Cannot even begin to speculate at this point. Okay? Can't even begin to speculate. It's unclear. And every time I say, maybe DJI won't support this old hardware, people accuse me of... sometimes people accuse me of fear-mongering. And then when DJI eventually does it, they go, oh, don't you feel dumb? And it's like, listen, if you're in a cage with a tiger, and I say, a tiger might eat you, and then you get out of the cage, and the tiger doesn't eat you, you go, don't you feel dumb? No. I didn't say, 100% the tiger is about to eat you. I just pointed out that this was a risk. I don't think I've ever said 100... I mean, it would be... Of course, I've never said 100% DJI is dropping support for the V2 system, and anybody who has it is screwed. I'm sure I've never said that. I'm sure that I have enough common sense to hedge my statements at least a little bit. But so I don't know the answer to that. It certainly is encouraging that we see that they are actively developing support for the V2 system. Whether that means that old black controller is going to get an update as well, I don't know. Matthias FPV, welcome to the live stream. We did talk about that earlier in the stream, the Goggles 2 firmware. We did talk about that earlier. Copter Tesla, thanks for a $2 super chat. Chimera 7 with O3 coming. Will chase a boat. You mean this? Woot! Woot! I also have a Chimera 7 with the O3 air unit. Thank you, iFlight. I will be putting out a video about it. It's mighty fun to fly. Although definitely don't even touch a branch. Don't even touch a branch. I can show this footage now, actually. I can show this footage now. Hang on. I'm gonna... Let's see. Not that video. This video. Where is the footage from the parking garage? Yes. That's... Is any of these the actual just flying? No. Hang on. Yes. So this is the Chimera 7 Pro. It's mighty fun to fly. Look at that. I should wear a beanie more often. I think a beanie... I see why Linus Torvalds wears a beanie all the time. Look at that cool guy. Come on. That's what I think when I see that. Where's the always fit window? Okay. So this is some flying of the Chimera 7. Of course, this is just DVR. This is not... Oh, and you're watching it in, live stream quality. It flies really nicely. Now, I think the stabilization is on here. And this is not GoPro footage. But what I wanted to show you... Wait, this is not the flight where I crashed. Where's the flight where I crashed? This is the V2 system. Where's the flight where I crashed? Well, it must be the last one. Oh, this is the flight where I crashed. Yes, that's what I wanted to show you. So here we are. We're zipping along. La-di-da. Also, iFlight. How did you get 17 satellites, iFlight? I never saw a Betaflight quad with 17 satellites. Well done, iFlight. So we're zipping along. Hang on. We decide to go over this way. Right? Go over here. We're zipping along. I might want to skip this next part. I can't remember if that was this flight. Doing good. Going over this way. Really impressed with the range of the system. Having a good time. Okay, this is not the run where I accidentally flew a little bit close to a car in the parking lot and was like, oh shit, I can't show that on the air. Look at this. Look at this crazy. Like, okay, I'm only 200 meters away and I'm standing on a parking deck. It feels like I flew really far away. La-di-da. This is what I mean, being able to just fly a 7-inch and sort of cruise it around like this is super cool. It don't turn too fast. And then, okay, so I do another run. This is also not the run where I flew close to a car. That's good. All right. Going around. And then... Oh, no! Hang on. Let's back that up, guys. What happened? We'll freeze frame it. We'll frame by frame it. Oh, there it is. That's where I was like, oh, I might not want to show that on. Well, I guess I showed it. Yeah, I was flying in this parking lot, and I was like, oh, that car was a little closer than people might like to see. And then, here we go. Freeze frame. This is what it takes to take out one of these 7-inch props. Bonk. Just one little branch like that. Okay, the next frame is not working. There it is. There's the little twig that took me out. Bonk. Done. So, you know, 7-inch pros and cons. Pros and cons. Five-inch would rip through it. Yeah, the flight time was really enjoyable. I'll say that. No, the prop shattered, Charles Marseille. The prop just shattered. It just exploded. I mean, it didn't literally explode, but that broke the prop and the quad fell. So, stay away from your ghost branches. Props in or out? It ships props out. Anyway. Does it matter if it's Betaflight or iNav? GPS is GPS. I don't know about... I'm not so sure about that. The reason, Rain Motorsports, people are commenting about my comment about the GPS sats. On the little 5-inch quads, it's very common to see 6 to 8 sats, 10 on a good day. It's extremely uncommon to see 17, 20 sats. And I think part of that is because of the location of the GPS and the wiring. It's just a very electrically noisy situation. Maybe on a 7-inch, it's completely normal. I don't know. I don't fly a lot of 7 inches. Casey Henderson, good to see you, man. I hope you're enjoying that quad. Kojo FPV wants to know, has anybody done any night flying with the new air unit? And when will retailers ship the new goggles? Kojo, I don't know that anybody has released a date for shipping the goggles. That's a good question. As far as night flying with the new air unit, I know Chris Rosser did some low light tests over on his channel. Iwandi says the HQ 7x4x3 can take some beating. I think that's the prop that I have. Let me just double check here. HQ prop. No, this is the 7.5 by 3.7. So that must not be a ultra durable prop, I guess. People are saying early January for the goggles too. Ew, that's a long time. I don't know if that's true. I just see it in the chat. So I can't confirm or deny that. Okay. How much range or penetration improvement does the Air Unit O3 have over the Caddx Vista? This is an interesting question, Leo. I think that the O3 has a little better range and penetration than the Vista, in part due to the H.265 encoding that it uses when used with the goggles too. I think that's very much up in the air, though. Bannister Post, I know there's I know there's better 7-inch props. That's just what iFlight shipped it with, so that's what I'm using it with. But yeah, those aren't the best. I think the output power of the unit, Madstech thinks that the output power of the unit is changing slightly with new firmware updates, and that it may not output as much power as it used to when you do the ham unlock. So that remains to be seen. I got a surprise for you guys. I wish Black Jungle was here. I haven't seen Black Jungle in the chat, but this... Hang on, wait till I'll show you guys what this is. This is... Oh, that's not the right... That's not the right camera. That's the right camera. This is a little present from my friend Black Jungle. If you don't remember who Black Jungle was on one of our streams... Oh yeah, good. Drop the water on your computer. That's great. You can see I'm literally opening it for the first time here on stream. Lovingly packed. It always tickles me when people pack quadcopters as if they were super fragile, which I suppose is respectful, but also they're not super fragile. Bash the shit out of them. Oh, what is this? Oh, he sent me something. This is a little box. Yes. What's inside the box? Oh. I guess that's for I don't know what that's for. SD card, anyway? USB drives? But this is the real star of the show. It is the... It's the Acrylic quad! I don't know if you guys remember. Black Jungle asked me on a live stream to comment on this quad, and he sent me pictures of it, and I looked at it and I said, surely you intend for me to roast this quad, right? Because this has to be a joke, right? And I'm not normally an asshole. Shut up. But I was like, he has to be in on this joke, right? There's so much going on here. And and so I roasted it. I went over and I talked about all the things I thought let's not say they're wrong. Let's just say I would do differently. And at the end, I was like, you know what, dude? I feel bad. I roasted your quad. You may not actually have intended for me to roast it. I will trade you a quad. So I traded him a new in-box bind and fly that I had sitting around, as you do. And he sent me this in exchange. And we're going to, not right this minute, but we're going to fly it. And we're going to check it out. We're going to talk about it. It is such a treat to have it here today. The Acrylic quad. It is sharp it's sharp. Oh my goodness. What is even the flight controller? Just a little 16mm flight controller? Are you kidding me? Where's the ESC? Is this a 16 millimeter all-in-one? Wait, where's the flight controller? Is there no flight controller on here? No, is this a 16 millimeter all-in-one? Are you joking? Is that even a thing? Are you joking? What the hell am I looking at here? Do you see this? Do you guys see this? It's a 16 millimeter all-in-one. Jesus. I didn't even know that was a thing. What ESC is this? Wait a minute. What ESC? This is a RHF13 AIO. A 13 amp AIO. Can anybody in the chat or can anybody in the Discord, let's see, thank you, Cyclimbo, I was about to ask. Can anybody identify this flight controller? What am I frickin'... That's it, that's the one. Who in their right mind... The story just gets better and better. It's got a 13 amp AIO flight controller. Oh my goodness. Wow. It's got a 13 amp AIO flight controller, which is a good thing because these Racer Star 2205 motors, this is, I can't believe this quad is breaking my brain. It's breaking my brain. It's an acrylic frame. It's 2205 Racer Star motors. It's a freaking 13 amp ESC. There's no way this ESC is going to tolerate any kind of abuse. I can't comprehend. And the and the camera, it's an all-in-one camera and video transmitter. I can't wait to fly this. I can't wait to fly this. This is... Oops, sorry. I can't wait to fly this. And he said, I was like, what was your... He was like, I just built it with the stuff I had on hand. Now, you know, so the dude lives in Brazil. So I don't know what the shipping situation is to Brazil. I don't know what the economic situation is in Brazil. But, he's just doing what he can with what he has available. And on some level, this is the coolest quadcopter I've ever owned. I don't even know what to do with this. This is insane. Somebody built this with a lot of care and a lot of love. He's got this special 3D printed... No, sorry, hold on. He's got this special 3D printed thing to hold the camera here. Uh-oh. Well, we better make sure that stays in. Somebody freaking designed the frame and cut the frame out of acrylic. Somebody put a lot of love into this. And yet, it's also so wrong. It's so wrong. I have to fly it. I don't want to break it. You know what I mean? It's insane. Does this have black box? Does this flight controller have black box? Please have a data flash chip. No. God dang it. Oh, it'd be a little tricky to get black box off of this. Man. That's something. I consider it to have been a fair trade. This is a very, very unique piece of equipment. I don't know how the ESC is going to survive, to be honest with you. What props is he using? 13 amp ESC. This is like a freaking time warp. There's a GEP RC 5x4. That's actually probably a modern prop just designed after the old style props. It's like it came out of a freaking time warp. It's crazy. Anyway. Plug it in. Plug it in, please. I mean, what will happen? Nothing will happen if I plug it in, right? I'm kind of scared to fly it. Anyway. He says he flies it. He says it rips. The motors are, I'm sure it's a 4S Max for sure. The motors surely are for 4S. What's the kV? 2300 kV, baby. 2205, 2300 kV. Welcome to 2018, 2017. It's really something. Okay, the people want to hear the ESC beeps. Okay. The people want, the people get. If it's good enough for Elon Musk, it's good enough for me. Where's my smoke stopper? Where's my smoke stopper? There it is. Oh, alrighty. This is a 4S lithium ion. It's at 3.8 volts. It's at storage voltage. Good old smoke stopper. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Well, we got a problem already. Do we not have a... Why no? What's going on? Is it not configured? Well, now I have to find out. Sorry, this just became a troubleshooting live stream. Now I have to know. Where's my mouse? Where's my mouse? Where did my mouse go? Hey, mouse, what are you doing? Is my mouse dead? Hello? I can't... I need my mouse to work, please. Stupid. Why is my mouse not working? Shut the heck up. Well, that's gonna make my frickin'... That's gonna make this difficult. What's going on? Why did my mouse stop working? Frickin' stupid. Is it gonna work now? No. What the hell? What the fuck? Well, that's interesting. I plugged in the flight controller and now my mouse doesn't work. Huh. Uh-huh. And sure enough, the receiver for my mouse is plugged into the same USB port as the flight controller. Hang on. I plug back in. Will it start working again? What if... Oh, great. Okay, so it broke my mouse. Okay, this is why you shouldn't plug random shit in during a stream. What if I plug my mouse in over here on the computer? Now is my mouse going to work? Hello? Hello? Did it kill the receiver? Surely not. The hell? Okay, for real though. So now the receiver for my mouse isn't working. Did you hear that? Doo-doo-doot. The hell? I don't have a mouse. I can't troubleshoot this problem. I have to do it with keyboards. Is that this one? Okay, great. Okay, I have to solve this problem. I can't finish the live stream without a mouse. All right, well, we're not plugging it into my computer again, that's for sure. And now the frickin' receiver for my mouse isn't working, so now my mouse isn't... Can you just plug the mouse in? Surely you could plug the mouse in and just do it with USB, right? No, no. It's only for charging. It's not for... This mouse doesn't work except wirelessly. Jiminy Christmas. Is my USB port working? Yeah. Seems to be working. Battery power, wait a minute. No. It's just getting power, it's not getting data. What in the flip? What in the flip is going on here? Oh, God. What about this? Is this still working? Okay, so my USB is working. I can't believe this. This is so this is such an inconvenient time for this to have happened. I'll tell you what. How about this? What about this? Okay, that's a good sign. Aha! Hey, my mouse is working! Alright. Well, I don't know what that was all about, but I'm not plugging this thing into my computer again during a stream. That's for damn sure. So... I'll figure that out later. But at least my mouse is working again and I can continue the stream. Welcome back, everybody. I'm sure I have a spare mouse somewhere. I just plugged in the flight controller. That's literally all I did. That's the acrylic quad, everybody. Silliness. Omar Garcia, thanks. Let's get us back on track. Omar Garcia, thank you for a $5 super chat. I own the DJI FPV and the newly into home-built drones. Got the Flywoo 4S and the Taycan C25. Why do I have bad prop wash on both and only 3 channels on the Flywoo? You only have 3 channels on the, most likely because it's in 50 megabit per second mode. In 50 megabit per second mode, you only get 3 channels, but the channels are twice as wide, and so you get better image quality and so forth. So that's a good thing that you only have 3 channels. If you're definitely in 25 megabit or in 50 megabit per second mode, no, sorry. If you're definitely in 25 megabit per second mode, and you still only have 3 channels, you need to do the FCC hack. It means you're not in the United States. So do the FCC hack, and then do the 1200 milliwatt hack while you're at it, and you'll get all the channels. Omar, if it only lets you choose 25 meg, it means that the air unit was registered outside of the United States. But there is a FCC hack that can be done that unlocks all the channels and gives you full access. Do the FCC hack, correct. Yeah, maybe don't plug random hardware in during a live stream. You know, it was good. I feel like it was, for the first 3 minutes after it stopped working, it was good content. For the next 10 minutes, it was boring. Jonah wants to know. Gosh dang it, I can't type your name. Yona wants to know, Lumineer's parallel charging board is so expensive. The Paragard Pro. It's so expensive. Is it worth it? Is it worth it is a tough question that only you can answer, because only you know what your money is worth to you. It is an extremely full-featured parallel charging board. It's got amp readouts on every port, so you can see how much current is flowing between the batteries and where it's flowing. Of course, it's got fuses and polyfuses and all that good stuff. It's I assume it does. That's why it's called the Paragard. It's extremely good. The amperage meter for every battery is very interesting because it lets you see how the batteries are changing current and which batteries are taking more or less current. It's certainly not required. I mean, some people parallel charge with a Y harness. There are risks to doing that. It's inexpensive, but there are risks. There are additional risks. It's just a question of where you want to be on the price versus performance spectrum. Now, in this case, you're paying extra for something that is not directly sort of performance related, and that is these amp readouts. That's nice to know. It's handy. It certainly isn't required, and you may choose not to pay extra for that and get something less expensive. It's got frickin' USB ports for charging accessories. I mean, it's got all kinds of shit built in. The balance lead plugs are on the side. They're on the side. You can see them in this shot, maybe. Yeah, there they are. I mean, I think that spending a little money on a parallel charging board that has polyfuses and fuses is well worth it. Hey, Black Jungle is in the Discord. Now he's Black Jungle, nothing is broken, man. Everything is fine. I think it just didn't like my USB hub. I'll tell you the truth, Black Jungle. Yesterday I came back to my computer to find that my mouse and keyboard weren't working, and I had to reboot the computer. So there's every chance that it had nothing to do with your quad, but it was just a cute little sketch for the live stream. You're good, man. Don't worry. It is kind of weird that it doesn't seem to finish the startup tones though, Black Jungle. Like, not that it matters. But makes me wonder if it like somehow lost its configuration or something. I'm not plugging it again though. We'll check it out off the channel, off stream. Ramus the Fifth, or as you might call it. Is there a way to measure ESC current draw when a current sensor isn't present on the ESC? Yeah, there are standalone current sensors that you install on the XT60 plug. In fact, I remember someone was selling XT60 plugs with built-in current sensors. Let's see if I can find one. Yeah. So here is an XT60 with a built-in current sensor. What do you think of that? It's got an extra wire coming off the bottom. That's the current sense wire. And you would connect that to the current sense input on your flight controller, and you would read current. So that's the answer. You would buy something like this and use it. Clay's Projects, thank you for a $5 super chat. I saved up for Dominator V3s the next day the HDOs came out, then Connex. Well, you didn't miss a lot with Connex, but then DJI, then DJI V2, now DJI 2. When do you jump in with what? I mean, Clay, you just gotta decide where you're. There's no right answer. Like, I think that you did the right thing by not jumping on the Connex Pro site. It had a lot of potential. It never fully lived up to that potential. The DJI V2 system was the first, or the DJI V1 system technically, was the first digital FPV system that I think really fully delivered on the potential of digital FPV. Everybody else was just trying to sort of get to the top of that mountain, and DJI did it first. Shocker. Now we have a lot of choices, and you know, you could choose DJI, you could choose Walksnail, you could choose HD0. You know, any of those could be the best for you, and you kind of got to look at what's available. And at some point, you just got to, you know, swipe your credit card and know that in 6 months or 2 years or some time frame, something else is going to come out that may make this look like right now. The Caddx Vista with the DJI V2 goggles is still an excellent system, even though the new system has some ways that it's better. But it's still excellent. You just got to go for it at some point. You decide what's in your budget, you buy what you want to use, and you try to stick with it. I mean, this hobby moves fast, and there will always be something better around the bend. Or what you do is, I mean, my move in most of my life is not to buy the latest and greatest, but to buy the last generation that's on the way out, while everybody else is buying the latest and greatest. That's usually my move. But that's, you know, it's your money, and it's, you're never going to get something and it's just going to be like perfect forever. It's Blaine. I see that I missed your super chat. It's Blaine. I will now go back and get it. It's Blaine. Oh, that was not too long ago. Motors and batteries for the Roma 4-inch long-range frame. We'll reuse these for a better build in the future. For a 4-inch long-range, I think the standard motor now is a 1404. Let's look at the new O3 air unit LR4. Let's see what they used. Here's the O3 air unit. This is the brand new Explorer LR4. Does he still use the 1404s? It looks like it does. Yep, 1404 2750 kV on a 4S 18650 pack. Bing, bang, bong. Wheeler FPV wants to know, is there any way I can use the S-Bus in the Vista for the black FPV remote and the O3 unit for the goggles V2? I don't want to use the gray radio. No. I mean, theoretically, you could mount a Vista and an O3 in the same quad. I'm not even sure that the air unit will pass the... How will it treat the... And like one of them would output the S-Bus and one would do the video. It would not work well. They would interfere with each other. It would be bad. If you've got the black FPV remote, I think you're stuck with the Vista. I don't think you can move to the O3 today, and you may never be able to do it, depending on what DJI does with their firmware. One IFPV says, other than mounting limitations, why would you use a 30 by 30 stack these days? Aren't the 20 by 20 capable? Yes, I find 30 by 30s are easier to build. They're easier to solder to. You just have more room. My question is, why use a 20 by 20? And if your answer is that it saves weight, it really doesn't. The flight control stack itself is not that much lighter. I mean, I suppose you could probably find some examples and prove me wrong. When the last time I measured the difference between a 20 millimeter ESC, especially if you got one of the 20 millimeter ESCs with the big FETs, it was 3 grams or something. It wasn't really anything substantial. And to me, the larger ESCs are usually more durable. The larger flight controllers are easier to work on, easier to solder to. The main way you save weight, in my opinion, with a 20 millimeter is to go to a thinner frame and a smaller frame. It lets you pack things in. But I don't see a strong advantage to the 20 millimeters, personally. So if I was doing a racing drone, like a 5-inch racing build where the frame was ultra compact and ultra tight, now you have to do a 20 millimeter to get it small enough. It's about the size, right? But on a freestyle build, the frames are usually not ultra compact. You usually have room for a 30 millimeter. Why not use that space? That's what I would say. Leith wants to know, thank you for a €5 super chat, Leith. Leith wants to know, can you spectate the pilot flying with the goggle 2, with the V2 goggle? That's a good question. I could test that. I could probably test that. Let's test that. I think we could do that right now. Hang on. So we're going to need this guy powered up. We'll just run it off my power supply here. Turn it up to 16 volts or so. Okay. We're going to need a fan to keep this damn thing from overheating. As you know they do, like to overheat. We're going to need the goggles too. And they're going to need to be... Well, where's my goggles too? Hey, what are you doing over there? And a battery. Okay. Shit. I'm not even sure which set of goggles this is currently bound to. Guess we'll find out. And we're going to need the V2 goggles. Here we go. Ooh, I have an idea. Aha. Okay. No. Come on. Come on. Update for me. Yes. Hello. Why am I upside down? That doesn't seem right. Why is it flipped upside down? Ah, well. Oh, I see why. I know why. Hang on. I can fix that. Okay, so let's see. Which of these is it bound to, first of all? None of the above. Oh, no, this is in... Let me focus this correctly for you guys. Oh, and I need a piece of tape to put over the sensor so it doesn't turn the screens off. Can do. Okay. There we go. Now then. Aha! Wait, why are you upside down? Don't be upside down. There we go. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to go to status, switch, O3 air unit, switch, okay. Aber, unfortunately, these are just sweatpants that I've pulled up to my calves. They're not Thai fishing pants. Oh, great. Oh, great. Okay, so we're bound to the goggles. Fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, what do? We do transmission. I've never done this. Broadcasting on. Now we're broadcasting, right? Then, here in the V2 goggles, we need to switch modes. Device, switch to O3 air unit. Okay, we have to power cycle the goggles. So hold on. Off, on. Boy, you can really see how much difference there is in the... Oh, you can't show you that camera anymore. You can really see how much difference there is in the eye relief. Look how far away the GoPro is from the eye, and you can still kind of see the screen just fine. Look how far away that is. That's crazy. Whereas if you compare it to the O2, you see how you can still get a little relief. It's not that bad. All right, so now then, we're gonna go. What do? We go transmission, audience. Aha! Look at that! Is it working? Bam! The answer is yes! It does work! There you go. You sure as heck can. You can spectate. You guys think you can see a difference in the OLED versus the LCD? I don't know. I'm always skeptical that a GoPro can really highlight that difference. It just looks blown out. The GoPro isn't really picking up it's not blown out. Okay, do you see how it looks totally blown out there on where the lights are? It really isn't. That's just the exposure of the GoPro. Okay, now try changing channel on the goggles. Okay. Is that going to be under transmission, isn't it? Sorry, guys. That's the live stream jitters. Oh, well, I haven't done the ham unlock on this yet, so I can only change one channel. Let's change the bandwidth. We change the channel. Sure, can do. Okay. I mean, surely the broadcast is still... Yeah, the broadcast is still going. No problem. Although you can't see one thing. Do you see that when we put this camera in the V2 goggle, the light in the upper left is not blown out? Okay? But when we put this camera in the goggles 2, it's completely blown out. That's because the goggles 2 screen is that much brighter. The exposure hasn't changed at all. The screen is just literally brighter. I don't think that helps very much, but... All right. Science! Boom. That's fun. All right, so now we know. Yes, you can spectate the pilot flying the goggle 2 with the V2 goggle. It does work. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to put all this shit away. Can you spectate the other way, Quad Doc? I assume the answer is yes, Quad Doc. Clearly, I mean, I'm not going to test it because I think we've spent enough time on this already, but I assume the answer is yes. I feel like that's a very safe assumption. If it works one way, it works the other way. Got his €5 worth, that's for damn sure. Oh. Okay. Fun. Is it better to have Fenton wants to know, is it better to have a high dB low axial ratio or low dB high axial ratio in an Omni antenna for cinematic long-range analog? Fenton, why are you compromising and accepting a low axial ratio? Why wouldn't you buy a good antenna that has a high axial ratio? Well, that has a good axial ratio and that has the gain that you want. Why would you buy an antenna with a bad axial ratio? Right? The answer to that question is very, very difficult to answer. You know, a cross-polarized antenna could have something like 15 dB of loss. So there's a theoretical antenna out there. Well, that's if it's perfectly cross-polarized. What if it's linear? Like the worst case for a circular polarized antenna would be if it was linear. And that would give you about 3 dB of loss. So I guess I would take the low axial ratio high gain antenna. Because the low axial ratio, like there's no way that the antenna that they sell as right-hand polarized is accidentally going to be left-hand polarized. Okay, if you have a right-hand polarized and a left-hand polarized antenna, and they both have a perfect axial ratio, the number that I have in my head is that's about 15 dB of loss. I don't know if that's 100% accurate. If Alex Grieve comes out of the woodwork to tell me I'm wrong, I defer. But there's no way that a right-hand polarized antenna is going to actually be left-hand polarized unless somebody just mislabeled it. So what we see happen is an antenna is either poorly designed or poorly manufactured so that instead of having a perfect axial ratio and being like 100% right-hand polarized, instead the axial ratio is lower and it's closer to a linear antenna. So it's less than 100% right-hand polarized. And then as you get down to 0% polarization, you're a linear antenna. And then as you go the other direction, you become a left-hand polarized antenna. When you have a perfectly circular polarized antenna paired with a perfectly linear polarized antenna, that's about 3 dB of loss, not actually that much. So I think your worst case scenario when buying an antenna with a lower axial ratio is that it will be as much as 3 dB of loss. And therefore, I think it's easier for you to make up 3 dB of loss by having a little bit higher gain antenna than it is to make up the lower gain of the antenna by having a perfect axial ratio. That's what I would say. There's no bad axial ratio, is there? Asks Slaughterbart Fast. Yeah, I mean, what you would ideally like is a perfect axial ratio on all your antennas, and then they're all left-hand polarized or they're all right-hand polarized. If an antenna has a lower axial ratio, it is less than perfectly circular. Circular polarization is not either or. It's a spectrum. So you could be 0% circular polarized, in which case you're 100% linear polarized. Or you could be 100% circular polarized, in which case you're 0% linear. Or you could be anywhere between those two. And what you want with a circular polarized antenna usually is the perfect, like I think it's 1.0 is the perfect axial ratio. And that means it's the ratio of circular to linear, isn't it? I think it is. So if your axial ratio is less than 1.0, it means the antenna could be getting a better polarization match. But in reality, it often isn't. Delta Foxtrot wants to know. Thank you for a $5 super chat, Delta Foxtrot. Delta Foxtrot wants to know, how do the auxiliary buttons work on the gray controller with the new O3? Are all of them programmable? Delta Foxtrot, I don't think that the switches on the DJI controllers are programmable. They just, with the V2 controller, with the original black controller, they just map the switches to aux channels. And I don't think you can reprogram them. I can't remember if the gray controller works the same. To tell you the truth, I have not used that controller at all with the O3 Air unit, and I probably won't. It just, I don't know. Are they mappable? I probably should. As a professional, I probably should do that. But I want to pull it out and bind it right this minute to find out if that's okay. Any idea if the V1 goggles can spectate the vista while flying with the goggles too? Pacific Northwest pilots. No. The V1 goggles cannot interact with the O3 at all. I see. Sorry, Pacific. I understand. I misunderstood the question. If you have a Caddx Vista and it is not in the if you have a Caddx Vista, then it is not in the O3 Air unit mode. And audience mode doesn't work like it does with the O3. So with the O3 Air unit, the goggles rebroadcast the data. That's what it seems like they're doing, because you turn on broadcast and the goggles broadcast. And then any spectator goggles that are nearby pick that up. But with the Vista, audience mode simply tunes in to the signal. And nobody is rebroadcasting it. So it doesn't... but here's the thing. If the Vista is bound to the goggles 2, that means that both the Vista and the goggles 2 have had an update, and that new firmware makes them act more like an O3 Air unit. So in that case, I would not expect that the V1 goggles would be able to interact with them in any way. And this is a question that Madstech raised in his video. He asked, when the firmware updates come that make the Vistas be able to bind to the V2 goggles, will that break backwards compatibility with the V1 goggles? It seems like that's a possible outcome. So can the goggles 2 rebroadcast a Vista feed to the V2 goggles? Well, again, meme FPV, That remains to be seen because that firmware that lets the Goggles 2 interact with the Vista isn't in people's hands yet, except for testers. However, I would assume it works the same as the O3 Air unit, and the answer to that question is yes. Alrighty. Well, that was fun. Finton wants to know, what would you choose between the Rush Cherry and the iFlight Albatross? Let's look at those two antennas. Not sure Albatross is a great name for an antenna. I don't know a lot about the design of the Albatross or the manufacturing. I'm torn on this one. iFlight usually does a pretty good job with their electronics. I don't know if anybody's tested their antenna, though. Can I... Gain 3 dB, axial ratio 0.7. Gain 1.2 dBi. Is that dBc? dBi. Why is it 3 dBi? Why is this 1.2? It can't be 1.2 dBi. Can it? I thought about 2 dBi was like the minimum for an Omni antenna. How is it 1.2 dBi? Okay, well, it probably is. Axial ratio around 1.0. That's an honest freaking number. That's somebody who's honest about their axial ratio. I think I would take the Rush Cherry. Remember that the additional gain of the iFlight antenna simply means that it has larger nulls. With an Omni antenna, I usually want lower gain, not higher. So for an Omni antenna, I want a circular pattern, a spherical pattern with very small nulls. And it seems like the Rush Cherry is giving me better axial ratio, at least on paper, and a more spherical pattern. And I'm also just not convinced that the iFlight antenna is a consistently made high quality antenna. Somebody from iFlight is going to be annoyed at me for saying that and reach out to me and be like, hey, we make good antennas. It's not that I'm specifically bad-mouthing it. It's just that I haven't seen them tested. And it's really easy to accidentally make mediocre antennas if you don't really pay attention. And iFlight has a lot of attention to a lot of the aspects of their production. And I just don't know whether the antennas receive that attention or not. Whereas the Rush Cherry, I've seen people analyze it and they think it's a pretty good antenna. So I would take the Rush Cherry. Yeah, I think the Rush Cherry is a better antenna. I think the iFlight antenna is... I worry that the iFlight antenna is... We need an antenna to slap on our bind and flies, and it needs to be iFlight branded. Please make something for us. And when you make antennas, you really have to pay attention because very small changes in the manufacturing of the antenna can completely destroy its performance. And if you're not really paying attention, then you end up just getting bad or mediocre antennas and you never freaking know. And so I worry that iFlight puts so much care into their electronics, into their bind and flies, into their frame designs. They put so much care into it. I know they're capable of doing it, but I just don't. I think that would be the kind of place where a manufacturer of bind and flies would be easy to let slip. And and so I wouldn't necessarily give them the benefit of the doubt on that antenna. Black Jungle, is that quad only rated up to 3S? I guess I assumed it was good for 4S. I hope I didn't fry it. Well, I'm sure it'll be fine, man. Please don't worry about it. I got a new Super Deluxe shirt. That is correct. Super Deluxe sent me some shirts. Thank you, Super Deluxe. RC Overkill, thank you for a $2 super chat. Slugs, thank you for a $2 super chat. What do you think of the Troncat FPV freestyle build? Troncat did a hell of a job putting that parts list together and getting the price as low as possible. I'm curious how Troncat's video is doing. So Troncat, look at this nonsense. Troncat's 2020 build. Oh, look at Pyrodrone buying an ad. Let's watch a Pyrodrone ad before we continue talking about Troncat. I don't want to hear music. I'm worried I'm going to get copy struck or something. Oh, no, it's copyright free music.
2010.
This is 1 year ago. Is this? I think this is mistitled. And also, interesting. The ad links you to a video that's like 1 year old.
Pyrodrone, keeping you in the air with high quality gear since 2010.
Yeah. Okay. This video doesn't seem like it's the promo clip for the 533 series. Anyway, Troncat. 1.9 million views. Build an FPV freestyle drone for $150. 1.9 million views. You son of a bitch. How dare you? How dare you do that good? Then we got build a freestyle drone for $200 2 months ago. 105,000 views. Still extremely respectable. Hang on. How am I doing? No commercials, please. 118,000 views 5 months ago. 105,000 views 2 months ago. He's crushing it. He's crushing it. Hang on. I need to just... Oh, I'm not logged in. I need to just change my name to Build a Freestyle FPV Drone, except it's not going to be $200. 2022 5-inch freestyle drone build. Okay. His all right. This parts list is really really impressive. And people obviously resonate with his build. I mean, for me, a 30-minute build and done. Like, there's no configuration. Where's the Betaflight configuration? Where's the controller setup? But he definitely, I definitely respond to it in a way that they don't to my longer videos. So it really, sort of is conflicting to me. Yeah. It's good stuff. It's a good build. It's a good parts list. What's the most frustrating part of your work? Asks Entertaining Obsidian. When somebody else does a video that I could have made or wanted to make, and it does better than mine, or I don't do mine. That's frustrating. Miguel T, thank you for a $5 super chat. Bought your recommended DeWalt screwdriver, best thing ever. Bought 2 of them using your affiliate. Thank you, Miguel. Thanks for using the affiliate link. And thank you for... I'm glad to hear you like that screwdriver. That was from Phantom FPV, is the one who recommended that to me. He actually bought me one as a present last Christmas. Ramus V. What are the symptoms of a bad gyro? One of the number one symptoms is if you're flying and the quadcopter's kind of going tick, 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 tick. That's a bad gyro. Hot motors is sometimes a bad gyro. If the motors sound really rough. If the quadcopter, if you throttle up and throttle down and the quad goes and it tries to fly away and it doesn't want to throttle down, that's symptoms of a bad gyro. Those are some of the ones. RC Overkill, thanks for a $2 super chat. Have we missed any? Nah, let's see. AJ Farah, thanks for a $5 super chat. AJ Farah. Best bind and fly 2 to 3S mini or micro to learn with, but not outgrow too fast. I think something like an Emax Tiny Hawk. I think you will not necessarily outgrow that. Those are still fun to fly. The Mobulus 7 is a solid choice, honestly. If you're looking for 2S to 3S... Oh, I see. You're looking for 2S to 3S. I mean, if you want something in the micro size, I think 1S is fine. I don't know why. I don't think you should rush to 2S or 3S. By the time you get to the 2S and 3S size, we're looking at things like little toothpicks. The Flywoo Firefly Nano is a blast. It's a little 2S quad. And it can do whatever you want it to do. You won't outgrow it. So Flywoo Firefly Nano, the Baby Nano 2.0, the 2S version, really solid. Entertaining Obsidian, I think you're right. People get scared off by the longer videos, but, I mean, I gotta be me. I gotta be me. People in the Discord are talking about this. Diatone sent me this kit. It wasn't this exact kit. But it was this car and this controller. This thing is a freaking blast. They didn't send it as a review. They just sent it to, he was just like, here, give it to your kid or something. I'm sure he would have loved if I reviewed it, but I didn't just ignore it. But we played with it. It was an absolute blast. It's so much fun to drive these little cars around. Kids have a great time with them. You can't really break anything. Eventually one of my kids stepped on the car and bent the axle. I'm sure it was repairable, but that was basically the end of it. They last about, we got like 20 minutes of runtime off of it. It was a reasonable runtime and just was a hoot. So yeah, if you're thinking about getting those, I really enjoyed them. I'll say that. Okay. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the stream. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for the news. And as a reminder, there will not be a live stream next weekend because I'm going on a trip. Just watch the page on my channel. So if you go to YouTube Joshua Bardwell, not Joshua B, Bardwell. If you go to my YouTube channel and you go to live, you can see, I think you should be able to see the next live streams coming up. What, no? Oh, yeah. So here's scheduled for November 29th. That's tomorrow's live stream. Okay, so just go there, go to my live page, and you can see when my upcoming streams are. There will not be a stream next weekend, though, and we will also be missing the news. So, such as it is. Why is this out of order? Why is this one out of order? That doesn't make any damn sense. Oh well. Man, I've done a lot of live streams. That's going to do it for tonight, though. And is Ciati streaming? Does anybody know? He is streaming. Ciati is going to be streaming, so go check him out. He's posting the link right now. That's going to do it for me. Happy flying, you guys. Have a good night.